Hate to say it, but it definitely rained on our parade. Opening weekend at Cedar Point was a wet one. We're going to talk all about it on this episode of Roller Coaster Rants. Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Roller Coaster Rants. I'm Marcus.
And I'm Ryan, and today we are going to talk about our trip to Cedar Point. We went up opening weekend. We went up on Friday, and then we were at the park both days, Saturday and Sunday, and then drove back on Monday. So we'll tell you a little bit about them.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, we watched the weather as I know most everyone was. The anticipation for Top Thrill 2 reopening, and all week long, the rain chances just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And sure enough, the weather forecast was accurate. It was just pretty miserable. Hate to say it.
Yeah, we had hope going in, or I did, that things, were going to change and it was going to be okay. But I think my first step out of the car on Saturday morning, I got fully soaked inside my shoe. And from there, that was kind of just the theme of the day. I mean, we got on 3 coasters Saturday, so we'll talk about what 3 those were a little bit later. But Sunday was a little bit better. We went after the rain. Sunday was more wind than rain though, and that affected the closures and everything as well. So yeah, I mean, overall, just wasn't the best weekend to go. It kind of sucks because opening weekend you plan for in advance, obviously. So we live about 4-hour drive away, so it wasn't like we could just, back out of the plans. We were kind of stuck with it and just had to make the most of it. And we tried, but overall a little disappointing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's always so much excitement leading up to opening day, especially so many question marks with Top Thrill 2 and whether it would open, whether it wouldn't. And so just a lot of anticipation building up for opening day. We, of course, had to take the opportunity to go. Just like Ryan said, 4+ hours away. So it was a trip that we were going to go no matter what and make the best of it. But as soon as we walked into the park, our shoes were soaked by the time you made it to the end of the long straight way and you get to corkscrew. So that was just the theme right early on from the day. The weather was bad. And yeah, Ryan, said it. Sunday, the wind was just worse. And we had a rain ride on Gatekeeper that was incredibly miserable. We were front row and they ended up shutting Gatekeeper down the next train after we
that was kind of the theme. It was everything was on off. When we first got to the park on Saturday, nothing was open. And then as we eventually made our way back, we surprisingly, the two, and I say surprisingly because last time we went for Halloween weekends, both of these were having problems with running, but Maverick and Steel Vengeance it seemed to be running all weekend. So we went back and we did those two, and I mean, they were both pretty wet, to be honest. I kind of talked him into going on those, but great rides, of course. I mean, Maverick and Steel Vengeance, both of them are probably in my top 5 overall coasters. I just love both of them so much, and
they were the heroes of the weekend for sure.
Yeah, they were always open, and then there was everything else, which we'll get to. But I mean, they weren't the most enjoyable rides, of course, because I mean, we're just once you get that wet inside your foot and it's just rainy and everything, it's hard. I mean, I try to make the most of it. I do usually like rain rides, but this was a little bit more on the not fun side for the most part. But yeah, I mean, those two, we did 3 coasters on Saturday. Those were the 2, and that probably led us up to we got in at 10 a.m. And that probably led us all the way up to 3 o'clock by the time we got off Steel Vengeance. So that was kind of how the morning was going for us with the rain and everything else.
And granted, I mean, we were definitely taking it slow. We were just, I hate to say it, just miserable. Clothes soaked and shoes soaked as well. So we definitely taken it slow on Saturday because those 2 rides stayed open. But yeah, I finished up with 3 total rides on Saturday, and then Sunday we did get more. Ended up with 8 on Sunday. Just the kind of the theme of the weekend was every single time you go to something, especially on Sunday, ride closure, everything delayed. So just like the rides weren't open. Gemini was closed. I didn't see it open all weekend, and I don't think it didn't look like it was going to plan to be open either. That was one that we were excited to ride. Magnum was open for a short while,
One
and
train.
one train ops. I mean that's
And then not open at all on Sunday.
yeah. And then Millie, of course, had its issues. We saw on Twitter, didn't actually see it while we were at the park, but saw on Twitter that Millie valleyed. So that led to its own thing. And I mean, just every single time we would see something go on Sunday, saw a Raptor go, and then ended up, it was closed. Saw a Valraven go, and then whenever we walked up to it, it was closed. Every single time that we would walk to a coaster.
I mean, Iron Mouse, like, or Wild Mouse, everything about, except for Iron Dragon, I think, was closed at some point throughout the weekend. It seemed like Iron Dragon and Corkscrew were the only two that could actually stay open, and we don't go to Cedar Point to ride those two rides. So more on Millie. I mean, it was Sunday that it valleyed, but Saturday it was closed all day up until like we were already gone because it was like 6:30. It opened for like an hour. Had the new lift hill. I mean, I don't know if that's what's causing. I'm guessing that is what's causing kind of the problems for it because it's got a whole new lift hill and everything. But yeah, Saturday was open for an hour and a half. Wasn't open at all on Sunday. So it definitely disappointing. And I kind of want to jump back to go into a brighter topic, and that would be, Saturday. It's 2 or 3 o'clock, as I said. We get off Steel Vengeance, and we're kind of walking around, no hope in the world. And then I see the train, a train for Top Thrill 2 testing, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's testing. Let's go over there. I mean, long story short, we went over there, and it must have been at the very beginning of the testing because it was a very long process to get on Top Thrill 2. Right,
2+ hours.
Yeah, right when you think it's good, we've got people on the ride. The first 2 trains of the year with people on them rolled back, so it was pretty wild. And 40 test trains later, it finally was up and running. We were on like the 5th or 6th train, and man, oh man, that was the first time I've ridden it, and it lives up to the hype for sure. It just packs such a punch, and all the elements hit so crazy. And I mean, you could definitely argue it's the best ride in the park for sure. The elements, to me, it's like Steel Vengeance is a longer, more consistent ride, but nothing hits even close to what Top Thrill 2. The spike and the longer layout adds so much, and we were lucky enough to get back row, and it was just like going from the airtime into the twist. It was just, I haven't had an experience like that on another coaster. It was incredible. Like the ride itself, as inconsistent as it is, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, is very, very, very fun. So,
I mean, Top Thrill 2, it had so much hype, so much excitement last year, and thankfully I was able to ride it 4 times last year, so I had an inkling of what to expect going in. But I went to Cedar Point 3 times last year, and each of those times, of course, I wanted to ride Top Thrill 2 again. And thankfully, that's the whole reason that we really went this weekend, was to get a ride on Top Thrill 2. And actually, as we were coming down in the photo, on-ride photo, it actually showed me looking over to try and get Ryan's reaction. Just because, I had experienced it. I wanted to see what he thought about it as well. I love it. I loved it last year, and honestly, the ride experience, from what I could tell, really felt the same. We went over the top hat pretty good, even though
it's definitely going over slower this year from what everyone is saying. But I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, we were in the back row, but I got more time on that than I think I've got more ejector on that than I think I've ever gotten in my life. So.
the visuals definitely show that it's going over slower. And I mean, we saw it during testing. We saw it with the very first train. Took 2 times to get over. So, um, it as far as the ride experience though, from what I could tell, it was nothing had changed. I hadn't rode the back row yet. I think I'd rode my 4 times or front train close to the front, wasn't the very front. But I'd say rows 2 through 5, something along those lines. And so I hadn't been able to ride the back row yet. And that was just so much fun being so high on the spike. Um, Definitely now I want to ride it front row whenever we can. But thoroughly enjoyed it. And that just led to the disappointment that we experienced on Sunday. Of course, winds were incredibly bad on Sunday, and everyone was gathered around waiting for it to possibly open Sunday afternoon because the rain had stopped. It's like, oh, maybe it'll go. And then about 6 o'clock, I think it was 6:30 ish, they ended up coming on the loudspeaker and saying Top Thrill 2 wouldn't be opening again due to inclement weather for the remainder of the day. Of course, it was an 8 o'clock close, so still an hour and a half to try and get the sucker open, and it didn't.
And that was kind of the theme of the whole trip, and especially Sunday, because we didn't even get rained on Sunday, and we went in at noon. I mean, rain wasn't the issue. I know the wind was an issue, clearly, but that leads me to the question of how can a 200-foot hybrid RMC iBox run all day with no problems, and these other rides, I get Top Thrill 2, more talking the other rides, can't run in the high winds, and what's really going on here. And then kind of leading to that on 6, they start testing probably around 5:30, probably 5:30 on Sunday for Top Thrill 2. Probably have 40 to 50, maybe upwards of even like that. I mean, they're really pushing them out, just clearing the top hat and testing. And then, the line gets huge. Everyone gets excited. And then to say that they're closing it down for inclement weather. And then after that, having the best weather of the entire trip where it actually clears up and we can see the sun for the first time is a little disappointing. It kind of feels like they just packed it in that day. And again, a little disappointing. Maybe they never did plan on opening it. They were more testing it for the next day. If that, I understand. But it was just a common theme with all of the rides was we didn't know what we were going to be able to get on. It just when we did get on something, it's probably the only time we're going to get on it. We were hoping to get on Top Thrill 2 again. And then once we saw that the rain forecast, we thought we were good. Didn't happen. I went to Cedar Point without going on Millennium Force, without even getting the chance to go on Millennium Force. That's disappointing. I love Millennium Force. I love Magnum. Didn't get on Magnum because the one time we got in line on Magnum, again, one train ops, and it was probably going to be a 2-hour wait with Fast Pass. So just didn't get on Valraven, didn't get on Raptor, and this wasn't really by choice. We wanted to ride all of these. We just couldn't because of whether it was the weather, but honestly because of some of the staffing operations, park management policies, whatever you want to say. Definitely a lot of that came into play this weekend.
Yeah,
for sure.
And obviously the weather is what it is. You expect that when there's crappy weather that things are going to happen, things are going to close, all this. So, we know that there's that caveat. But at the same time, and we're not going to pretend to know that we know the answers to, why something runs one train ops. Like there was...
nothing was full capacity at all.
Exactly.
Except for Top Thrill 2 when it was open the first day. But they even, on the second day when they were testing, the Silver Train wasn't even on the track. So, but Steel Vengeance was always running 2. Maverick always had a train off to the side. And then... Gatekeeper was running 1. Like nothing was going full capacity. And I get that you want to train people if that maybe is what it is. Trying to get people into the groove of stuff and everything, not spitting out trains like crazy, but we went to Kings Island opening day, and the only coaster that wasn't running their full amount of trains was Diamondback, from what I remember. And that was running 2 of the 3. And again, it's just, comparing the two experiences to that is just, it's mind boggling that, the opposite one, the one that you have the pretty bad experience at is the flagship park of the brand. And I mean, just walking by, we walked by Millennium Force just to walk down that side of the park. Every single shop, every single stand, there was not one person in any of them that entire side of the park. Like almost, I mean, if what feels like a mile, and until you get all the way back to Steel Vengeance and Maverick, there was just nobody, nothing. And again, I get staving, this early in the year, it's hard, but still, opening weekend, they're cranking out these prices and the fast pass prices. We're lucky enough to have season passes and everything, but I can't imagine going there and getting this experience. And you can't really say the weather's a cop out for everything, because the weather was terrible, but still there was so much there that was just so empty and dead, and it just was not, even if the weather would have been nice, it wouldn't have been a fun day at Cedar Point. I don't think, unless we got on Top Thrill 2 like 5 times.
And I think that is our overarching theme for this video, is that the weather played a certain factor. And again, we only went on Saturday, Sunday. Park was open on Monday, and seemingly had good weather. Things looked on social media to go smoothly. But that's our question: is how much of a factor did the weather truly play, and how much was kind of a cop out?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I paid.
Cedar Point's got to take the blame.
Yeah, I paid for. I mean, even getting all my, the parks and the fast pass, everything like included. Even though I paid a lot of money for that last year, I still like $400 for hotel, food, gas. I probably spent like $500, $600 on this trip, and I had 11 coasters to show for it. Now, I can't even imagine if you paid for, you paid for a more expensive hotel, you paid for your family, you paid for admission, you paid for fast pass. Man, that really would have been bad. And then this experience happened. You could go on 11 coasters in 2 days, and I can't imagine that. I mean, I left upset from my perspective. So I can't even imagine what that perspective would be like.
Yeah, forking out the money for fast pass. Again, we both have the season fast lane, thankfully.
Or just go into the park, because being at the park wasn't fun either of those days, really. I mean, Sunday, again, in that back section of the park where Maverick and Steel Vengeance were, crazy enough, I guess the wind tunnels don't work over there, and those are the only 2 that can operate without any problems. But everywhere else in the park is completely a ghost town pretty much the entire trip. It's just absolutely wild. There has to be something done with early year staffing if you want to push this as the flagship park and give them all the good rides and give them everything. Then you cannot put out that product on opening day weekend. I don't care what the weather is. It was absurd, in my opinion.
We came prepared on Sunday because we were miserable on Saturday. So we got prepared, bought some, extra shoes, extra rain jackets. We were ready to ride on Sunday. Thankfully, it didn't rain as much, but still only could get on eight coasters with Fastlane Plus. So definitely didn't have the best experience for opening day 2025. And this thing that you and I kept talking, and regardless of the situation, what was the thing that you kept saying?
Yeah, the idea of Cedar Point is always better than Cedar Point. And that's, from my experience, in like the six times we went to the park the last 2 years, that pretty much, you've been a little bit more than that, but that pretty much rings true almost every day. Last year, we went there on a 3-day trip. Steel Vengeance was down the 2/3 of the entire trip. Of course, Top Thrill was down the whole year. Operations were, lackluster. And for me, it's just always, Cedar Point, it just sounds like it's going to be the best time of your life. They have all the best coasters, and that's what I love. And then it just, again, it wasn't all their fault this time. I know the weather played a huge factor, but man, it's just the idea of going is always better than what you get. Um, and I mean, yeah, just riding Top Thrill 2 in general, just once, is such a disappointment. I mean, if I knew it was going to do it once, we would have just waited until Siren's Curse was out. Because I mean, of course, that was the
Yeah.
main reason we were going. Otherwise, we just would have waited a month and a half, and had Siren's Curse in addition to the other coasters there, to add to their even crazy lineup. I mean, by the way, Siren's Curse looks incredible.
Looks
The
sick.
layout is just, it's so tangled and looks awesome. The tilt track is right over the walkway. So I can just imagine just crowds of people watching it, open it when it opens up. And again, very excited for Siren's Curse. Very excited to get back to Cedar Point and actually have a good experience. It's just the question is, are we going to have a good experience, or is it going to be some more of the same stuff? And I guess their strategy is, we just put so many elite coasters in our park that, if three of them aren't running the whole weekend, you can still have a decent time. But that kind of just adds to the disappointment that is Cedar Point.
At least the third of the big ones are up and running. That's if they
Yeah.
got that
And
strategy, something
I was
along
saying,
those lines.
last
If,
time we went, it was Maverick and Millennium were off and on down the entire time. Steel Vengeance was down. There was actually zero of the big four running a lot of the time. This time it was just two of the big four, and then Top Thrill 2 was open for like a couple hours on Saturday, not on at all on Sunday, and then pretty much Millennium Force was just down all weekend. So
well, and from my perspective, obviously this is our show is called Roller Coaster Rants. We're gonna rant. We're gonna tell how we feel. And there's been a lot of negative in this episode. So from my perspective, it's frustrating. I hate that every time I walk away from Cedar Point, and I said this last year, and I'll say this again. Every single time I leave Cedar Point, I'm ready to get back to Kings Island. Maybe there's some nostalgia bias there because I grew up going there. But that's a legitimate feeling that I feel. I love the coasters at Cedar Point, but from an experience, vibes.
It's just frustrating because we know how good it could be. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah. That's the question. Is we know the potential of this park. It's amazing. It's on a peninsula. It's beautiful. You've got the best coaster lineup in the world, and yet there's always that question of what if. There's always something.
I mean, if you had a perfect day at Cedar Point, it would be the best day you can have at any amusement park if you're a coaster lover in the world. It's just,
Yep.
you just never have that perfect day.
Yep. So I definitely don't let that negative shine away from holy crap, Top Thrill 2. So glad to get back on it.
Siren's Curse looks incredible. Steel Vengeance is incredible. It's always incredible. Maverick is incredible. I mean, again, that's never the question. That we know the coasters are incredible, but yeah, I mean, I'm super looking forward to getting back, going on Siren's Curse, hopefully getting on more of these rides. It's just, I need to just start, just my expectations need to be leveled a bit, I think, because just, it feels like every time we go, there's just stuff going wrong. We might be the most unlucky people in the world, but to me, it seems like, I mean, there was not nearly enough employees in the park this last weekend. It was apparent. And I mean, you would think all these closures everywhere, like, would they not just spread those guys around to help out on other stuff? I guess they don't do that. And I'm not, I'm a little ignorant on how that works with staffing and different coasters. And if your coaster's down, you're gone for the day or whatever. But it just feels like when everything is so empty and bare and you have all these closures down, that maybe it shouldn't feel that way. So,
Yeah. You're always left wanting more. And that's unfortunately been our luck and our experience these last couple of times as we've gone to Cedar Point. Still, again, Top Thrill 2, amazing. And early summer 2025, can't wait to see Siren's Curse up and running. We're hopefully going to be able to make another trip back up to Cedar Point at some point this season.
Yeah. It doesn't
Not
look
sure
too
when,
far,
but definitely.
Doesn't look too far away. It looks about ready. So I would think month and a half, and it'll be open. That'd be my guess for sure.
So now I guess we'll open it up. Drop down into the comments. Let us know how wrong we are, how right we are. Were you at opening day? Let us know how you feel. Obviously, we know that there's a lot of perspectives. We're going to step on some toes with this conversation. We're just giving our unfiltered, unbiased perspective. End of the day, we do love Cedar Point. We're going to be back. We're going to spend more money. We're going to go.
I want to enjoy Cedar Point as like so much. Like again, like it is. I look forward to it for months and months. It was, and I know the weather was a huge factor, but goodness, it was just such a disappointing experience this weekend. Really was.
Well, here's to hoping a better experience next time. Hopefully, the idea of Cedar Point is better for this next trip. But I believe that's all we've got for this show. So, as always, be sure to let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And looking at the analytics of these YouTube videos, a lot of people who are watching aren't subscribed. So, please give us that subscription. That helps more than you know. And yeah, follow us on TikTok, all that good stuff. And
yeah, we're also going to be at Hollywood Nights. If anyone is going to the roller coaster enthusiast event thrown by Holiday World, best in the world. From what I've heard, neither of us have been before. So if you guys want to meet up, get a ride, or just chat, let us know, and we'll work something out for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I've never experienced Voyage Trimless. He's been raving about it, just like I was raving about Top Thrill 2 this past year. So I can't wait to experience that. So here, just a couple of weeks away. Super excited to get out there. Well, I think that's all we've got for this episode. We will catch you in the next one.
See ya.